He thought perhaps it was a kind stranger, someone who had known Lily and wished to honor her memory. But then something strange happened. The flowers never wilted. No matter how many days passed, they remained as fresh as if they'd just been picked that morning. He even tried taking them away, only to find a new bouquet placed there the very next day. Then there were the footprints. Soft impressions in the dirt surrounding her grave, footsteps that appeared even when it hadn't rained, footsteps there, watching, and the smell. A familiar fragrance lingered in the air, a scent he knew all too well, Lily's favorite perfume. The one she wore on their first date, on their wedding day, and on the night before she took her last breath in that hospital bed. At first, he thought it was just his grief playing tricks on him, a cruel illusion of longing. But the scent was too real, too strong, as if she were standing right beside him. It filled his lungs, wrapped around his heart, and whispered memories he could never let go of. The unanswered questions tormented him. Who was leaving the flowers? Who was walking around her grave? Why did the perfume linger in the air long after the wind had blown through? He needed answers, so Mike did something he never thought he'd do. He bought a small, hidden camera and installed it behind an old, crumbling tombstone across from Lily's grave. It was positioned perfectly discreet and unobstructed. If someone was visiting her grave in the dead of night, the camera would catch them. The first night, nothing happened. The second night, still nothing. But on the third night, everything changed. The next morning, with shaking hands, Mike grabbed his laptop and plugged in the footage. As he pressed play, his breath hitched in his throat. The cemetery was eerily still. Hours passed in the video with nothing unusual. But then, at exactly 3:12 a.m., the screen flickered and the temperature in the room seemed to drop. A shadow appeared. It wasn't walking, it wasn't moving in from the distance. It was just there, standing still. Right in front of Lily's headstone, Mike leaned in closer, his pulse pounding in his ears. The figure was tall, slender, draped in something light and flowing, as if the wind carried the fabric effortlessly. And then, as the figure shifted, a beam of moonlight pierced through the darkness, illuminating its face. Mike's heart stopped. It was Lily, not a hazy apparition. Not a trick of the light. It was her. She looked exactly as he remembered, soft curls framing her delicate face, her favorite dress swaying gently in the night breeze. Her lips moved as if whispering something to the stone beneath her, and then, as if sensing something unseen, she turned her head. She looked directly into the camera. Mike's breath hitched. Tears blurred his vision as he watched Lily kneel, gently placing a bouquet of fresh flowers at the base of her own grave. Then she lifted her hand, pressing her fingers to her lips before softly touching the name engraved on the headstone. The camera flickered again, and just like that, the perfume, the flowers, the footprints, were they all signs that love never truly dies? And then, in that moment of heartbreaking realization, he made a decision. That night, as the clock crept toward 3:12 a.m., Mike returned to the graveyard. This time, he wouldn't just watch, he would wait, and if she came back, this time, he would be ready. The cemetery was different at night. The air was heavier, thick with silence and the whispers of things unseen. The headstones cast long, eerie shadows under the dim moonlight, stretching across the damp earth like outstretched hands. Somewhere in the distance, an owl hooted alone, haunting sound in the otherwise still night. But Mike wasn't afraid. He had been numb to fear ever since he lost Lily. If anything, he felt closer to her here than anywhere else. And tonight, he wasn't just visiting. Tonight, he was waiting. Wrapped in a heavy coat, he sat on the cold bench near Lily's grave, his eyes fixed on the headstone. His heart pounded, anticipation growing with every second. The camera was still in place, but this time, he didn't need it. This time, he wanted to see her with his own eyes. The minutes dragged on, each one an eternity. He checked his watch. 3:10 a.m., almost time. The night wind rustled through the trees, carrying with it that all too familiar scent, Lily's perfume. Mike's breath caught in his throat. He wasn't imagining it. It was here, stronger than ever, filling the space around him like an invisible embrace. 3:11 a.m. The cemetery was deathly still. Not even the crickets dared to break the silence. Then a flicker. Not of light, but of something unseen, something shifting in the air before him. A soft glow pulsed near the grave, faint at first, like the reflection of the moon on water. Then it grew, slowly taking shape. Mike's hands clenched the bench. His pulse hammered against his ribs. She was here. Lily stood before her grave, just as she had in the footage. But this time, she wasn't just a shadow in the night. She was real. The sight of her stole his breath. The soft waves of her chestnut hair, the way her dress billowed ever so slightly as if caught in an unseen breeze, she was exactly as he remembered. Her skin glowed faintly in the moonlight, her lips parting as if whispering to the stone beneath her. Tears burned in Mike's eyes. "Lily," he choked out, his voice barely a whisper. At the sound of his voice, she froze. Slowly, ever so slowly, she turned, and then she saw him. Her eyes, those deep, soulful eyes that had once held his entire world, met his. 1,000 emotions crossed her face: shock, sorrow, longing. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Neither of them moved. Then, she took a step toward him. Mike's breath hitched, his body rigid with anticipation, fear, and a desperate hope he never thought he'd feel again. She was right there, so close, so impossibly close. Tears slipped down his cheeks as he reached out a trembling hand. "Lily, is it really you?" She didn't speak. But she smiled soft, sad, full of love. And then she reached out too. Her hand passed through his. A sob tore from Mike's throat. He had known deep down. He had known she wasn't truly here. But feeling the cold emptiness where her warmth should be shattered him all over again. Lily's smile wavered. She lifted her hand, this time placing it over his heart. Though he felt no physical touch, something inside him stirred an overwhelming warmth, a deep ache, a connection beyond anything words could describe. Then she finally spoke. "You have to let me go, my love." Mike shook his head furiously. "I can't. I don't know how." Lily's expression softened, her fingers tracing the air above his chest. "I never left you, Mike. I'm in every sunrise, every breath of wind, every memory we shared. But you," her voice broke, shimmering with sorrow, "you're stuck here. Trapped in grief, and I can't move on until you do." Mike's heart shattered. "I don't want to move on," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "Not without you." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "You have to live, Mike. You have to love again. You have to be happy." A sharp gust of wind rushed through the cemetery, and suddenly Lily's form flickered. She was fading. Panic surged through Mike. "No, please stay." He reached for her again, desperate to hold on, desperate to stop time itself. She cupped her hands as if holding something unseen, and then slowly released them, as though letting go of a fragile, invisible thread. "I'll always love you," she whispered. And with that, she was gone. The wind died, the perfume vanished. The night returned to its empty silence. Mike sat there, broken, staring at the space where she had just stood. And then, for the first time in 6 months, he looked up, not at the grave, not at the past, but at the sky above him. The stars shone brightly, untouched by grief, untouched by loss. And for the first time, he understood. Lily had never been trapped. He was, and now. It was time to set them both free.